Nathan Brooks was a self-made man. Starting with a small budget motel in a quiet town, he built his hospitality business brick by brick. Over the years, his company, Brooks Hospitality Group, expanded to include several luxury properties across the country. One of his prized assets was the Aurora, a sleek boutique hotel known for its cutting-edge design and exceptional service. But despite his success, Nathan had always kept a low profile. He preferred his work to speak for itself and rarely advertised his ownership of his properties. This allowed him to occasionally visit his hotels undercover to see how his employees treated people when they didn't know who he was. One crisp fall morning, Nathan decided it was time to drop in on the Aurora. It had been a few months since his last visit, and he wanted to ensure everything was running smoothly. He dressed casually, a simple plaid shirt, jeans, and a well-worn red cap emblazoned with the phrase, "Make America Great Again." The MAGA hat wasn't just a piece of clothing for Nathan. While he wasn't a particularly political man, the hat represented his belief in perseverance and hard work. He liked what Trump stood for, and he didn't think that it was a big deal to wear that hat. He had grown up in a conservative family that emphasized the importance of taking responsibility and seizing opportunities. Though he rarely discussed politics publicly, he didn't shy away from expressing his views when he felt like it. Walking into the Aurora, Nathan admired the pristine lobby. The sunlight streamed through the glass walls, illuminating the minimalist furniture and modern art pieces adorning the walls. Guests checked in at the front desk, and a barista served lattes at the in-house coffee counter. Everything seemed to be in order. It was everything that Nathan had hoped for, and you can even go as far to say, even more than he wished for. Nathan wandered toward the seating area, his cap perched firmly on his head. He noticed a few guests glance at him, some with curiosity, others with thinly veiled disapproval. He had gotten used to this reaction when wearing the MAGA hat, but he didn't let it bother him. He was here to observe, not to argue. As he flipped through a magazine from a nearby table, a man in a fitted blazer approached him. The name tag pinned to his lapel read, "Dylan, Manager." "Good morning," Dylan said, his voice polite but clipped. "Can I help you with something?" Nathan looked up and smiled. "No, I'm just looking around." Dylan's eyes briefly flicked to the hat before settling back on Nathan's face. "Are you staying with us, sir?" "Not today," Nathan replied, keeping his tone neutral. Dylan's demeanor shifted almost instantly. His smile tightened. "I'm afraid we don't allow loitering in the lobby. This area is reserved for guests and customers only," Dylan said with a tone that seemed to be especially reserved for Nathan, who is, as we remember, the one running the whole show. Nathan raised an eyebrow. "I'm not bothering anyone, just checking out the place. I don't understand why is this such a problem." Dylan's polite facade began to crack. "Sir, I'll have to ask you to leave. This isn't a public space." Nathan leaned back in his chair, curious about where this was going. "And if I don't?" Dylan's expression hardened. "Then I'll have to call security. We have policies in place to ensure the comfort and safety of all our guests." Nathan noticed a few staff members behind the front desk exchanging uneasy glances. He could feel the tension growing in the room, but he remained calm. Before he could respond, a voice called out from across the lobby. "Mr. Brooks!" Dylan turned sharply, confused. A woman in a tailored suit walked briskly toward them. Her name tag read, "Rebecca, General Manager." "Good morning, Rebecca," Nathan said, his tone friendly. Rebecca's eyes widened slightly as she realized what was happening. She looked at Dylan, then back at Nathan, piecing the situation together. "Is everything all right here?" she asked carefully, hoping that the answer would be a positive one. But as all of us know by now, Dylan made sure that wouldn't be the case. Dylan frowned, still clueless. "I was just asking this gentleman to leave. He's not a guest and we can't allow loitering." Rebecca's face stiffened, but she maintained her composure. "Dylan, this is Nathan Brooks. He's the owner of the Aurora and the entire Brooks Hospitality Group." Dylan's jaw dropped. "The owner?" he stammered. "Yes," Rebecca confirmed, her tone firm. "He built this hotel and everything you see here." Dylan's face turned pale. I didn't realize. I'm so sorry." Nathan looked at him steadily. "You didn't realize because you didn't ask. You saw the hat and made an assumption, didn't you?" Nathan thought while seeing that he was getting treated differently than the other guests, and even the other people that were, in fact, just loitering and looking around. Dylan opened his mouth to respond, but couldn't find the words. He glanced down, clearly embarrassed. He was finally speechless. Nathan sighed. I understand that politics can be a divisive topic, but your job is to treat every guest with respect, no matter what they're wearing or what you think their views might be. Do you understand that? Yes, sir, Dylan mumbled. I'm truly sorry. This isn't just about me, Nathan continued. What if I had been a guest here? Would you have treated me the same way? Or worse, what if I were someone else entirely? Someone who might not have had the power to address this directly. Dylan nodded meekly, his face flushed with shame. Dylan knew that he could get fired at any moment. He also knew that at this moment, Nathan held all the cards. The only thing he could do was hope and pray that he would show him mercy for his rude behavior. Nathan turned to Rebecca. I trust you'll handle this appropriately? Absolutely, Rebecca said firmly. Good, Nathan said. He looked back at Dylan. You're suspended, effective immediately. If you want to keep your job, you'll need to complete mandatory training on customer service and bias. Your attitude needs to reflect the values of this company, not your personal beliefs. Understood? Yes, sir, Dylan said, his voice barely above a whisper. With that, Dylan walked away, his head hanging low. The staff and guests who had been watching quickly returned to their own business, but the tension in the air lingered. Rebecca sighed and turned to Nathan. I'm so sorry about that, Mr. Brooks. This is not how we operate. I know, Nathan said, but this is why I come unannounced. I need to make sure the people representing my company treat everyone with respect. For the rest of the day, Nathan observed the hotel's operations and spoke with various staff members. Most of them were professional and welcoming, which reassured him. Still, the incident with Dylan lingered in his mind. Later that evening, Nathan returned to his office and found an email from Dylan waiting in his inbox. The subject line read, My apologies. In the email, Dylan admitted to his mistake and expressed regret for letting his personal biases cloud his judgment. He asked for another chance, promising to do better. Nathan leaned back in his chair, considering Dylan's words. He believed in second chances, but knew they had to be earned. The next morning, he replied, outlining the steps Dylan would need to take before returning to work. As he closed his laptop, Nathan reflected on the day. He had built his business on the principles of hard work and respect, and he wasn't about to let anyone undermine those values. No matter their political beliefs, every guest deserves to feel welcome at the Aurora. Nathan hoped the incident would serve as a lesson for Dylan and for anyone else who thought it was okay to judge someone based on appearances or assumptions. After all, a hotel wasn't just a building. It was a reflection of the people who ran it. And as long as Nathan was in charge, it would be a place where everyone was treated with dignity. Did anything like this ever happen to you? Let us know your stories in the comments below.